Yo, peep this. You just clicked on Let's View It, and I'm Tyrone Cross. Welcome to my channel, where you can find me doing my thing as I react to TikTok videos and break down other topics I find interesting or important. And I deliver it with my own flair. But one thing that I never change is I always keep it real and I always keep it true. So if this is the first time you ever clicked on one of my videos, then you're new to the crew and we welcome you. I used to say I welcome you, but let's face it, all my viewers welcome you. We're like fam up in here. What happens on Let's View It stays on Let's View It. But I also got some good news for you. They say nothing in life is for free. But guess what? That's not true. You can subscribe to my channel absolutely free. So all I ask is after this video, if you like how I do what I do, please do that. Help support this channel and help me keep this thing rolling. And I did have a goal of trying to reach 1,000 subscribers within 1 year. So September 30th, this channel will be 1 year old and I need almost 400 more subscribers. Will I do it? I don't know. But with enough support from you guys, I definitely can. So we'll just see. Either way, I'm gonna keep it going. Without you guys, I'm just a man pretending to talk to people that aren't there. So without you guys, I have schizophrenia. So now, video time. And in this video, I'm going after Degrasse Tyson again. I don't care if it makes people mad. One, because I need something else to talk about besides transgenders, although they give me good material. But two, because this channel's about truth, even if it's unpopular truth. And for some reason, he just keeps popping up on my TikTok algorithms. So this must be meant to be. And to all the people who get mad at me for talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, you're lucky I don't make a video about Bill Nye the Science Guy and tell you about how he's not even a real scientist. He's actually an engineer who was casted for the role to play a scientist on that show because they thought his persona would attract the kids. And guess what? They were right. Oops, there it goes again. The truth just falling out my mouth. Now, before I start embarrassing poor Neil deGrasse Tyson, I want to make it clear to the viewers that I'm not a science denier. I know science is real. I know water and sun helps plants grow. I know depending on your exercise and your diet, you can get fat or skinny. I know that fire burns. These are all sciences that we all see throughout our lives and we know is real. So they use that trust that they gain through us, through the real science, to push this other science or sci-fi, which they use to try to explain and answer how people are created and why the world is here without a God. But now I'm getting a little off topic, so let's reel it in. And right now, Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to answer the question, why doesn't the sun light up the blackness of space? So you already know, let's view it.
Can you explain why our sun does not light up space? In order to light something up, you need something to reflect the light back to you. All right, so space is empty. So there's sunlight streaming through space, but there's nothing to send the light back to you. You know what you could do? In the old days, you take the eraser, the chalk eraser from the chalkboard, and you'd hit them together and there'd be a puff of chalk dust. If you took a laser and pointed at that, you'd see the beam of laser through it. But if the dust settled, you turn on the laser, you won't see the beam at all. There's nothing left to reflect to you. So that's what you need. Oh, the moon does that, reflecting sunlight back to us.
Now, before I start blowing your guys' mind, let's talk about how lies work, right? When you tell one lie, you usually got to tell another lie to keep up with the lie. But usually even then, in the end of the day, the dots still don't connect. And that's exactly what sci-fi and Neil deGrasse Tyson does. First, let's talk about his explanation about why the blackness of space is not lit up by the sun. In other words, what people are asking is, the sun lights up the earth, right? But in between earth and the sun, space, apparently, it's all black. It's all nighttime, it's all dark. So why does the sun light up earth, but nothing in between? Now his answer for that is because there is no atmosphere in space. So from what science tells us, there's nothing in space. No air, no wind, no molecules, I guess, particles, nothing. It's just emptiness. So he's saying the light has nothing to hit and reflect off of, so you don't even see it. But on the other hand, Earth does have an atmosphere, right? We do have air, we do have wind, and apparently the light is reflecting all in that air and wind, and that creates everything to light up. Because when we look up in the sky during the daytime, we don't ever see a point where it turns black. It looks blue and lit up all the way till our eyes can't see anymore. I'm going to go into the layers of our atmosphere, and everything that I use is their science. All the information I'm going to use is their science. I actually use their science against their science. Because remember, they're lying. So they got to keep telling lies to cover up the other lies, or to make the other lies make sense. So now this is the Earth's atmosphere, apparently. And by no means do I know that much about the atmosphere. I'm not a science guy like that. I just want to make that clear. So if I mispronounce any of these atmosphere layers, I apologize. So you have the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Now apparently the exosphere is where the satellites hover and the spaceship goes. And then I guess this would be blackness of space. Now let's get to where he said there's no atmosphere in space and that's why it's black. So if there's no light in space because there's no atmosphere, and there is light on Earth because there is atmosphere, well, let's see something. How far does the Earth atmosphere go? So right here, I'm looking up how far does the Earth atmosphere extend. An international team including 2 CNRS-1 researchers, don't know what that means, but they must be very smart, has discovered that our atmosphere extends about 630 kilometers, almost twice as far as the moon, an astonishing 6 times further than the limit assumed until now. Let's see, this was February 2019. Almost twice as far as the moon. Now, unless I'm slow, I'm understanding that to mean the Earth's atmosphere goes past the moon. Quite a bit past too, which would mean that the moon is in our atmosphere, which would mean all the depictions of Earth and the moon and blackness in between Earth and moon wouldn't be real. Because if the moon's in Earth's atmosphere, that would mean that the moon would be all lit up as well within the Earth's light, right? I mean, I'm sure they made up some other lie to explain why that wouldn't be true, because that's what they do. And I'm going to show you even more so. Now let's look up how far does the sun atmosphere go? What? The sun has an atmosphere? Well, it has to, right? Because if you could see the light coming from the sun is a light. It has to have an atmosphere. That's what Degrasse Tyson said. It wouldn't even look like a light, right? Because it wouldn't be reflecting light. So of course, science has to say the sun has an atmosphere. But let's see, how far does the sun's atmosphere extend? As you can see, this is a NASA page. Science.nasa.gov. Living with a star. They did a whole article about my family. That's weird. Now look, down here, this is what I want to show you guys. Again, this is NASA's page. I'm using their own information. At first glance, the sun seems so self-contained, a crisp round ball in the noontime sky, but the edge we see is just the beginning. The sun has a hot, riotous atmosphere called the corona that reaches from the sun's surface past Earth all the way to Pluto and beyond. The corona is seldom seen, only during a total eclipse, but it is there. One more time. The sun has a hot, riotous atmosphere called the corona that reaches from the sun's surface past Earth all the way to Pluto and beyond. It's seldom seen, only during an eclipse, but it's there. So apparently the sun has an atmosphere that goes way past Earth, but then space has no atmosphere. Do you see the problem here? You have the Earth's atmosphere going past the moon, the sun atmosphere going past Pluto, but apparently space is a vacuum. This is what science does. They're just making up stuff. Neil deGrasse Tyson just told us there is no atmosphere. But then NASA just told us the sun's atmosphere goes past Pluto. So which one is true? I bet somewhere they probably say, well, this atmosphere can't reflect light. It's a special type of atmosphere Corona atmospheres don't reflect light. That's why. And what are we to do, huh? We don't have all these special machines, all these things that they say they have. Matter of fact, not only do we not have these machines, we don't even see these machines. We just have to believe them. But even if you do believe them, you can see right here, there's some contradictions going on. Science, and when I say science, I mean sci-fi, or people trying to explain life without God, has tons of contradictions too. Tons. We just never look for them. We don't think about them. And one more point to make. If our atmosphere is what reflects light, then why exactly in Neil Degrasse Tyson's experiment example did they have to bang chalk out? Couldn't the atmosphere in the room make it so you could see the laser? I'm just curious. It's the same atmosphere that's reflecting the sun's light. Unless you made it a vacuum in that classroom, there should have been an atmosphere to reflect light already. I don't know. He's the genius. I'm just learning.
You like crazy astronomical facts? I got one for you.
Oh, we know. We know.
The energy created in the center of the sun takes between 10 and 100 million years to get out of the sun. Upon exiting the sun, it then travels the 93 million miles to Earth in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So that was a long, hard-fought journey to reach us. Just saying. The sun, busy at work, keeping us warm and anybody else who uses sunlight, like all the other planets of the solar system. And aliens who are possibly looking out into the galaxy, wondering if around a star that we call the sun has a planet that might have life.
Why does he always gotta go to the aliens? Every time, he gotta go to the aliens. Look, the only question I got for this, how do they know that? How does he know that? How does he know it took 150 million years for the sun's light to get out from the center of the sun, out the edges of the sun? How does he know that? How do they even know what generates the sun's heat? How do they even know what the sun's made out of? Have you guys ever wondered this? Well, I'm going to tell you, because I know exactly how. You see, they made some really long tongs, about 93 million miles long. And they made it out of the metal from Wakanda, so it won't melt when it touches the sun. And they took this 93 million mile long tongs that they made out of Wakanda metal, and they lifted it up towards the sun and pinched him a little piece of the sun off to bring down to examine it. Now, the interesting fact is the sun's heat is so powerful that they could only bring down a piece of the sun that was as big as a grain of sand. Anything bigger would have demolished the whole world. And they took that little piece of sun and put it under a microscope. The whole microscope was made out of Wakanda metal. And they examined it and they figured out it was made of some gases and some other stuff and some other stuff. And from that little grain of sand, they were able to measure how big it is, how old it is. They did so much stuff with that little piece of sun. It's amazing. And well, that's how scientists know all about the sun. And you know what? Just for shits and giggles, to show you how full of it science is, let me show you something. Do any of you guys know what the average weight of a cloud is? Anybody out there know what the average weight of a cloud is? Well, you know who does know? Science. Now, like I said, just for entertainment purposes only, I went ahead and Googled what the average weight of a cloud is, and here it is. 1.1 million pounds. Did you know that? Did you know that the average cloud weighs 1.1 million pounds? Now, I know what you're thinking. How do they know that's the average weight? Or how do you weigh a cloud when it floats? And all I gotta say to that is, just know it weighs 1.1 million pounds and stop asking ridiculous questions. Are you the expert? Are you the scientist? No, you're not that smart. But now that you know from our friend Neil Degrasse Tyson that space is black because it has no atmosphere, But the sun has an atmosphere that goes all the way to Pluto, and the earth has an atmosphere that goes all the way past the moon, and apparently the light doesn't want to reflect off of any of that atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe the light is a bigot towards space. But also, as a bonus, you learned that the average cloud weighs 1.1 million pounds, and it floats. So now that you know all this great science and became that much smarter, all I need you guys to do is comment below. Tell me what you think. Is the sunlight a bigot against space? Or does Neil Degrasse Tyson just not really know how the sunlight works? Is Neil Degrasse Tyson a genius? Or is he just running his mouth? Or have you ever flown a plane through a 1.1 million pound cloud? But while you tell me your thoughts, I'm also gonna need you to hit that bell like the hunchback. Also click that hitchhiker button and sub-ride with me. And I'll see you on the next trip.
Day and night. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. All my life. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Can't help I. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. That's why